We are the Meltdown here with a Season 2 review, along with an Episode 8 review, the season finale of House of the Dragon, officially taking place. Did it light a fire in us? We are here to discuss. We have a full council for you today, including co-host of the Meltdown, Mr. John Lunsford. John, how are you holding up after House of the Dragon Season 2?
It is finished.
We also have Brian Pavlik joining us, as promised, another week of the Pavlov dog here with us, as he has his small council marble ball.
Remove it to announce my presence and officially declare myself Hand of the Meltdown.
Hand of the Meltdown. All right, we have it officially here.
Hand of the Meltdown. It's official now.
We have Rockstar back with us, who's been here for a majority of these House of the Dragon reviews. Rockstar, you managed to watch the episode last night.
I did, Your Grace.
And we also,
Your Grace.
We also have producer Tyler here with us, who's going to have to be sharing the throne there with Mr. Pavlik.
Do they have to share balls too?
They do not have to share balls.
Oh.
They do not have to share balls.
I don't know about
Tyler,
that.
you made it through
That's what she
season
said.
2 of House of the Dragon. Are you excited to be here at the finish line?
I am. I'm excited for what's to come more than anything.
And that is exactly what episode...
What we said after every single episode this year.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, season 2, right? I'm going to just go ahead and say episode 8 is my least favorite episode of the entire season because it didn't. I feel like it didn't deliver on any of the promises of the previous 7 episodes, like you sort of pointed out. And it did do a lot of setup. It was a giant preview for what is to come here in season 3, which we may have to wait, John, a couple of years to actually get to, when really in the time of the world, it's going to be a passing of about maybe 2 or 3 days.
Yeah, if even that. I feel like even the setup at the end showed a passing of days as ships are going and horses are going down the road and dragons are flying. This may be one of the worst episodes Game of Thrones has ever had, period, strictly because it is a season finale.
It's definitely the worst season finale, I think, of any of the episodes, even of season 8 of Game of Thrones. I feel like this is the worst season finale of any season of Game of Thrones content.
There's a certain, I'd say the penultimate episode and then the final episode both have a little extra weight put on them because of what they are, because a lot of times the second to last episode is when things will go down, so you have the season finale as a wrap-up, or if nothing goes down in the second to last episode, you have the season finale for something to happen. And literally the entire last 4 episodes of this season have been setting up, and then it ended. It's like, okay, nothing happened.
Rocky, do you feel like we're being too critical here of the season finale of Game of Thrones season 2?
No.
House of the Dragon season 2. I want to get that right.
No, I didn't. I was telling Nancy as we finished watching, I guarantee people are going to be pissed because this whole season has been a slow burn. Then, like, I'm curious when they announced that they're going to have definitely a season 3, because when this wrapped, because they had to know that this, like, hey, we're running out of runway here. And
I think they announced it right before season 2 came out.
Okay, because the plan was, I can tell people are so unsatisfied by the fact that, like, you have been leading up to this stupid battle. Now you're going to tease it to 2 years from now, and I didn't mind it that much. I like the slow burn of it. I didn't like the Daemon story, the side story, the dream story. But
I think this.
Hey, he's going to be out of Harrenhal now. He's done.
Oh,
for now.
6 episodes.
He'll be like, it's one of those things like, I think it's The Hurt Locker. That movie came out, widely praised and everything. And the whole point of it is, Hawkeye ends up leaving and he's like, I just don't know how to live without being in the war. So he just forces himself to go back. All I can imagine is the beginning of season 3, Damon's like, I got to go back. I got to get that hit of whatever weird dreams I was having before. But I don't even know what I was going to say before that, so continue.
Yes.
That's something I was going to say. And then
Barnell.
I want to go to Pavlik here on this one, because Daemon at Harrenhal has been a part of the story that has dragged for us here as the Meltdown crew, but he placed his hand there on the Godswood tree, and all of a sudden he watched all 8 seasons of Game of Thrones, and now he is very aware of what is to come. What do you make of his arc throughout the course of the season, Daemon?
Here's the thing. He had his little visions of sugar plums and everything dancing in his head. He was there with a witch. He was there with Grover, all these friends. He ate terrible beans, as we were led to be. Yeah. And for it to culminate with him dipping his fingers in the goo of the tree and basically watching a TikTok version of Game of Thrones seasons 1 through 8. He saw that it ended with Bran the Broken, long may he reign, and he said, Yeah, I'll pass. Let's fight for the queen. Basically, every Game of Thrones fan out there. I thought it was going to lead to him being the three-eyed raven, which that would have been cool. And I said, oh, that would be worth it. But I don't. Now that we know he will die, or he was foretold to die in the Godswood or whatever, if he would have been the three-eyed raven and that happened right in front of us, I would have said, worth it. Didn't happen. Just a bunch of gooey fingers.
John, how much of the narrative pacing do you think came from budgetary concerns?
That's what you just reminded me what I was going to say. This proves that you need to have 10 episode seasons.
Yep.
Because you get to episode 8, this would have been a perfect
stop
to the build up to have
perfect
the second to last episode be, hey, giant battle, and then the final episode be wrap up from the giant battle. But instead you stop right here. And I get money is a thing, and the CGI you have to have now versus what you had to have in Game of Thrones for Dragons 3 then and countless now, I get it. But at the same time, I think they're realizing, because it seems almost across the board, it's mixed to negative reviews of this, that, oh, we probably screwed up by A, only doing 8 episodes, B, not putting more money to make sure we have a good ending point with whatever battle is about to come. Which
I'm not sure you can blame on the showrunners themselves, right? That's
HBO.
And do you
corporate
do that
side of this?
Is that battle episode 1? Do you just let it all out?
See, that's the thing. I feel like you have to almost, because you have built up to where everybody is marching in and stop. So how can you start the season without starting a giant battle? And I feel like that's almost too much to start. You have to have a little build up into episode 2 or something.
Let me put it into perspective. My daughter is 16 years old. By the next showing of House of the Dragon, she will be 18 years old.
Maybe 19.
This is old
Maybe
for me.
24,
This is
I don't
old
know.
for me. They better start off with a battle.
Yeah.
If I'm going to wait that long and we're going to be thinking college and all that, they better fight all 88 minutes of the episode.
I mean, I agree, and I feel like most of us agree, but it's just weird to completely start a season with. I mean, imagine starting the season with Battle of the Bastards, starting the season with Daenerys burning down King's Landing. That's not something you start the season with. That's something you build up to, which we have done. The last 4 episodes, it would have been incredible for next week to know we're about to get it, but instead we have to wait 2 years and completely start a season with
Tyler, do you have a favorite scene from last night's episode? Do you have one thing that pops off the screen to you as being the best part of the episode? Because I do for myself, and I want to know if you maybe feel the same way.
I really liked when Daemon put his hand in the weirwood tree.
Okay.
I liked seeing the three-eyed raven.
I was totally expecting him to say mud wrestling.
I was going to say
mud wrestling.
Dave
scene.
Portnoy wrestling Lawrence Sisler.
Get it right. It's the battle of mud and teeth.
So stupid. What was the point of that stupid
Let me
scene?
tell you, I don't hate the sequence. I hate the fact that it was in the final episode.
Yeah.
It was a complete waste of time.
That's a great episode.
Why
3.
are you introducing new characters in episode 8 when we have gone this whole time
For the battle next episode. Oh, wait, that's 2 years from now.
By the way, ask Tyler how many times he's heard the quote, "I wish to have children by you."
Yeah.
That's every Friday
And
night.
she
for
never
Tyler.
answered how many wives she had.
That is true.
Oh boy.
Look, I
What
really
they
love.
look like. I mean, come on,
Yeah.
give us some more information.
I have thought for a long time that Corlys Valerian was the one that was the most underutilized throughout the entirety of the series. I still feel that way after season 2, but I thought the scene with Alan of Hull confronting him and telling him that he will not accept his scraps and that he will continue on just the way he started, which is alone. I thought that was actually a super powerful scene, and I loved how much that character developed in one monologue.
And does that mean his brother's a traitor now? Do they not speak anymore either?
I think that they're still good.
I think everybody, all 3 of those are still good. I feel like you're not wrong if that could have then had a payoff of that ship sailing into battle next week.
It doesn't save the season, but I think it saves.
It doesn't have to kill. You don't. He doesn't have to die. Right. But something happens. He does well by the Valerian name, and with the fleet, he does die. Whatever, has some heroic death, saving some anybody. There's a lot of ways that ultimately could pay off. That it may or may not pay off. I honestly don't know, but it was good. But it was good for what it was, as opposed to being a great starting point for what that relationship is moving forward, with potentially a death somewhere in there because everybody dies in Game of Thrones, and especially with Corlys reeling from his wife dying and renaming the ship after her and all of that kind of stuff, that this can go be a powerful monologue to then build up to something. but I don't know.
I thought
what
it
that
was
is.
the best monologue of the episode and the best scene interaction of the episode. I feel very strongly about that, but that goes to show how weak I
That's
think
not
the
saying
overall
much, yeah.
episode was. Rockstar, when two people are in a room that absolutely can't stand each other, you can pretty much tell from the body language, and I feel that way watching Ulf the White and watching Jace.
He really wanted more of those little birds.
He did.
Yeah. Friend.
No table manners there, and Jace is just absolutely through with Ulf and trying to have any sort of decorum and
But see,
showing his true feelings.
At what point did this Ulf character become just such a cocky guy? Like
The minute he got a dragon?
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
dragon.
now he's just like with his feet up on the table, like it's just like he's just this humble guy. Like, yo, guys, shut up, don't tell him that I might be.
Do you find the character humorous? Because I think he's supposed to be comic relief.
Yes and no. The thing, you better was the line like you can't talk to me unless you're a knight. It's like, well, they need to make me a knight
Yeah.
or something like that. Like, thought that was a funny line, and like, y'all have no sense of humor.
A sense of humor would do you lot some good.
Yeah. So and more of those birds. But yeah, I like the character. I don't like he's just all of a sudden just super cocky. Not like he didn't ease into it. Like he's just become super cocky.
You know what that whole scene reminded me of? The first thing that I thought of, they had kind of the shot of them down on the table. They had the different personalities, different skin types, hair types, everything. It reminded me, it looked like they were going to sing Deo at the Beetlejuice table. Because it was just this cast of characters.
They all start
and they were just
floating
kind
all
of
of a sudden,
awkward. But
yeah.
I was about to, and, you know.
Question for you, Brian. Sir Kristen Cole, has he become one of the most sympathetic characters in the series?
I love how we haven't heard from Christian Cole in however minutes of TV screen time, and the first thing we see is a knife at his neck going, "Hey, boy, you've been messing with my sister.
It's gonna happen."
Yeah,
Oh, never mind.
you've been taking her to the Doomis Walker or whatever." Kristen Cole, the poor guy, everybody hated him because he was the Queen's side piece. I don't know. And should we really hate him for that? I think what it did, though, is it set up the legacy of the Kingsguard moving forward. Think all the way up to Jaime Lannister and the tainted white cloaks. Jaime was like, there's a precedent set. He was getting with his queen. I can do the same thing. She just happens to be the sister. So I think this just sets up the corruption of the Kingsguard in the Game of Thrones world.
His
moving
entire
forward.
worldview has shifted, though. It has changed, Sir Kristen Cole. He's seen some stuff. He's experienced some stuff. He has no love left in his heart almost for the world that he currently exists in. And
Yes.
he's made peace with, if this is it, then it will be mercy.
And I think not so much the visual of the
everybody.
dragons. He has seen dragons, and he relates to we are just, dust under their feet and everything. I think the visual of seeing his King Aegon burnt, eggs and sausage style.
Yeah.
I think that was what did it in, is we are mortals compared to these dragons. And I think that's what started the character shift. Now he just happens to say, oh, by the way, I'm in love. Yeah, it's a good character now.
We've got to talk about this relationship, John, and it is that of Alicent and Rhaenyra. They have yet another scene together. How Alicent got off over there to Dragonstone, who knows exactly how quickly she was able to get there and how that was able to work out. But she shows up there in the shadows, and she has a very different tone from the last time that she spoke with Rhaenyra, as it's almost a reverse sort of pleading for there to be an end to all of this madness, as Rhaenyra tried to broker some sort of peace deal, and it ended up in a conflict of disagreement. This time, it is Alicent trying to broker a peace deal, and it ends up in a somewhat conflict of disagreement. You also have Aegon being promised as his head will roll as soon as Rhaenyra has the chance to accomplish that.
Too bad Larry's stolen.
But Larys has stolen him. There's a lot going on here.
Do you
but
think Alicent is behind that a little bit?
No, I don't.
No.
I think it's going to be an unfortunate sort of series of
I
events.
think
where
Allison has
she's gonna
been
have to answer
floating
to
out
it.
in the lake while everybody else is figuring out stuff.
But I do think Rhaenyra will lose her trust.
She
once
needs to do more domestic stuff, according to
can't
her
pay that
son.
up.
Yeah.
The relationship between those two, though, it's been the heart and soul of the entire series. Do you feel like that's trending in the right direction to where these two are still the central focus of everybody's sort of intrigue, interest, and where they align one way or the other?
Ultimately, yes. And Alicent still very much wants Rhaenyra, period. Rhaenyra, I don't think necessarily wants Alicent anymore because she stole from Rhaenyra. Rhaenyra didn't really steal anything from Alicent. She's about to by stealing the throne and potentially Aegon's head, even though Alicent doesn't realize Aegon has flown the coop. But this whole thing has just shown that, here's the other thing about last night, with it being a build-up episode. The one of the good build-up scenes of the season was Rhaenyra coming to King's Landing and then meeting at the Sept. So it's like, well, today in the season, we're going to do the exact same thing, but she's going to go to Dragonstone this time, where I feel like they're more willing to accept Alicent there than King's Landing would have been to accept Rhaenyra potentially, because there's way more guards, there's way more people to see it and potentially lead to her getting her head cut off. I mean, we'll see. But because they walked in and it's like, oh, Alicent's here, and she's like, no, it's cool. Like that's what Rhaenyra did, as opposed to with Alicent when Rhaenyra shows up, it's like, oh my god, and it's like, don't get anybody, it's okay, we can just talk. And Rhaenyra's ready to pull a knife if she has to fight people off. Alicent knows that's not going to happen, but. So you're reusing a scene basically of just the two of them meeting each other on one of their turfs, and I definitely get the sense Alicent still is like, look, I love you, Rhaenyra, basically with everything, and also firmly admitting, oh crap, I was completely wrong about everything, and now I understand it. Please just come and take the throne. We'll lay down. We won't have to cause any bloodshed. And I perfectly understand Rhaenyra saying, no, I want Aegon's head on a silver platter. And Alicent just sits there and thinks for a little bit and is like, okay, I'll do that.
She just nods her head.
really-
She didn't agree. She just nods her head.
I mean,
She has no other capital to offer. She has
She
no
doesn't.
other leverage in this other than seeing Team Green completely dispatched of.
the whole thing is basically we've lost. We try to concede with as few casualties as possible. And if the only casualty ends up being Aegon's head on a silver platter, then okay, at least I've spared everybody else. My daughter's fine. Even Aemon potentially gets out of this alive. I know all of that's happening while we're seeing Daemon's vision also on the other side of things, seeing how things are going to play out. But I did not like that being the end scene either, that I'm sitting there looking at I paused to go to the bathroom like 50 minutes in. There's like 20 minutes left of it. And then they get to that point and I'm like, there's no time for anything else to happen. Why is this the last scene of the season? Why is this all we're getting? It's something that we've already gotten of them secretly meeting on enemy turf.
But I will say, and we've talked about this whole series, if anything else has given us some iconic single shot scenes or frames or photos or whatever. And the juxtaposition of, big word, I know, Alicent overlooking open sky, open sea, whatever she was doing, shows that she has now tried to clear her conscience, and I think in her mind she has done that. Even by giving up her son, I'm out of this. Then you switch to Rhaenyra, and she is tightly framed in that little square with all the history around her, kind of like a family tree. She is so in deep now with this whole Game of Thrones thing that she's so cornered in there.
Game of Thrones, yeah.
Yeah. She's so cornered in there, whereas Alicent now, I'm
Wants
not
to
a
be
part of it
removed.
anymore. Yeah.
Team Green's loyalty to each other has completely shattered, for sure. However, Team Black, we see what is the loyalty that has been demanded the entire season from Daemon to Rhaenyra. When Rhaenyra comes in and Daemon decides to bend the knee yet again and rally his troops, did you like sort of the momentum of Daemon becoming this leader of men in this episode? And finally, after going back and forth and having so many different people speaking to him and so many different visions of like, maybe I should be the one that attains all the power, did you like him actually showing Rhaenyra this level of loyalty to the death?
I did, but does he stick to it?
It seems like
Like,
after
he
this
seems like-
season he has to,
he
because
seems
it's
like he
been
turns on a
such
dime.
a focal point.
Because they hate, all these people want that damn throne, and it's like the ring. So I don't know if he'll stick to it or not. Like you can just see, like if you ever, what'd she say, if you ever do this to me again or something like that. So like, but man's been gone the whole season.
And I think for a viewer perspective, we already had the Queen Sansa, Queen of the North, and that was incredible. It had all of the bannermen yelling and throwing their swords up in the air, and that buildup of Sansa's story. It's kind of like that whole Simpsons did it, and Game of Thrones already did it. This was them trying to do a Sansa, Queen of the North type thing, and it just didn't feel that the same. Maybe it's because does Daemon stick with it? Oh, he's been foretold that he's going to die. She still really doesn't trust him that well because they were speaking in Valyrian, like, don't you ever do that again. So I think they tried for a moment that they were like, yes, this is the one, but we've already kind of seen this, and it just fell flat again.
It is nice to be able to see two characters fluently speak this Valyrian before they end up
And they
in
make
a
the font
situation
smaller. I like
where-
that. They make the font
It is very-
smaller.
it is
Yeah,
very
and
small.
right under the regular subtitles too.
Yellow.
So-
Very easy to read.
Aemond, okay, he's right now the big bad of the series. He's the one that is throwing the biggest hissy fit. He's the one that's causing the most destruction. What have you thought about Aemon's character arc from episode 1 and episode 2, where he's mocked by his brother in the early portion of this episode? He's seeking refuge there at the brothel to try to have any sort of self-confidence, and now he's the one that feels like he's calling all the shots, even though he can't get Helena Helena.
Helena.
I messed it up 3 different ways. Helena, he can't get her to completely go under his power and control, even though he desperately needs dragon riders. What do you make of Aemon's arc throughout the course of the season, Tyler?
I mean, he's just awful. He has grown into just a complete sociopath. He burned his brother Aegon, watched him just fall, and when Helena says, "Yeah, I saw it. I know what you did," he threatens to hurt her too.
Yeah.
So
he definitely wants blood, and he wants heads to roll just as badly as anybody, whether or not it's members of Team Green or Team Black. It seems like everybody's on the chopping block when it comes to him and his quest for power.
It all would have been a lot easier if he could have just killed Aegon, like when he wanted to.
Well,
for him, it would have been an
Christian
easier
woke
path.
up, damn it.
That's what I think next
It's always
season will
Christian's
be.
fault.
Larys
Yeah.
will have to protect Aegon, not just from Team Black, but from Aemond as
Everybody.
well.
Speaking of Aegon, your boy Larys, he's up to his tricks. He's decided that his only piece of leverage in Aegon needs to be protected at all costs, and he's decided to take him off where he's got mounds of money stashed. What do you make of the move from Larys, and are you still Camp Larys, Mr. Brian Pavlik?
He has found his 3-legged race partner in the company picnic for sure. They could just tie up those.
Do they have
dead
3 legs between them?
they could-
I don't
could
think
tie
they
up those
do.
dead
They only have
legs
like
and
1.5
use
total.
a crutch, and we're good.
How did they get him into the carriage?
It was a chicken coop.
I did wonder that, yeah, because
Like how long it would have taken him.
he can't even get from the bed to like the table
Yeah.
next to it, much less let's get you all the way down all those stairs that they have.
That's
And then
sneak you down.
Sneak you down.
Sneak you
They
down.
did the Taylor
King.
Swift. They put him in a popcorn machine and
Yeah,
wheeled
right,
him down.
yeah.
Wheeled him down.
Yeah, a rat catcher for humans. Larys is again ahead of the game, and that's why I've always been drawn to this character. He's always thinking ahead. He has now confessed he has moved his money, and where did he move it to? Bravos, which we know is just the bank of basically the whole Westeros and all that. So he's always thinking ahead. That's what's always drawn me. That character is he's not the reactive guy; he's the proactive type.
But he is no Otto Hightower, who we see make an appearance here towards the end of the
Is he in a
episode.
cell?
We're not supposed to know.
See, I kept wondering because obviously there was a path for him to come back like 4 episodes ago.
Yeah.
And he has yet to appear at all. And all
So-
you see is his one thing, him going, oh,
But
must be-
apparently,
he's been captured.
in this episode, speaking of Otto, and I know you asked about Larys, but fun trivia. Apparently, if you didn't know, we saw 4 Hightower family members in this episode.
Okay.
We saw Gwaine.
Yeah.
Because we all love Gwaine. Alicent, Otto. Did you see the dragon flying over the Hightower banners? Alicent's younger son has come to play.
Yeah, I heard, but it's
Daron.
Darren.
That sounds right.
Darren and Gwaine.
The
Johnny.
names in this are tough.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we saw 4 Hightower family members.
We've hit on almost every character here in season 2, episode 8 of where they are going into what is set to be a very bloody season 3. Maybe if everything is delivered upon.
You've said that between every
I
episode.
know.
It's just going to go back to Harrenhal visions again.
I don't think it is. I don't think it is. I don't think
It's
it
like
can.
we only saw Daenerys from the back in this
Yeah.
one. We got to see her from the front next time.
Yeah.
I want us to all go around and give our final thoughts here on the season, right? How it ranks for us. Is it a better experience than season 1? Is it trending in the right direction? Do you have major concerns? Where are you? And what's your final grade out of 5 potential dragons? What would be your final grade here? John, we'll start with you.
Episodes 1 through 4 were very good. Because every episode had some kind of something at the end to like whet your appetite. Of like, there's a little build up, blood and cheese, cut a kid's head off. Then there's a little build up, the twins fight each other. Little build up. Oh man, the dragons, you have this crazy dragon fight, and at least a major character death. Because like I kept saying last night after the episode, I was disappointed, and my wife's like, I mean, you can't kill everybody. I was like, you could have killed one person. That's Game of Thrones. Is killing one important person at least, if not multiple.
Also makes it more significant because you don't have a bunch of rush deaths in season 3.
Correct. So had you killed some kid along the way from one of the families to lead, kind of like you did at the end of last season, had you killed, Aemond or, somebody that can, be dead and have impact, some kind of impactful death, there's none of that. So episodes 1 through 4 had some build up with a little tease of like, hey, here's a cool fight. You had the dragon fight, which was really, really cool. And it has been nothing since except build up. And to have absolutely no payoff makes the final 4 episodes of the season completely tank to where this season's probably out of 5, 3.5 for me.
Ooh, that is a major, major drop off for sure. After you've said publicly that House of the Dragon is a better overall series than Game of Thrones, that has now
Season
shifted.
1 was, as of now, it is not.
Let's go.
Season 3 can save that, though.
Let's go to Tyler next, since he's already got the microphone. Tyler, your final thoughts on Season 2 of House of the Dragon?
Nobody can complain about the ending of Game of Thrones anymore after sitting through this season. I loved Season 1 of House of the Dragon, but other than the first few episodes, which were a cool build-up to the dragon fight, it's been a bit of a slag to get through.
Out of 5, what would you give it?
3.
A 3 out of
Hard
5.
3.
Okay, Rocky, I don't know if you'll be as low on the score as John and Tyler have been, but I would love to hear your final thoughts.
Well,
on
as a
Season
guy
2.
that's never seen more than half of one episode of Game of Thrones, I really enjoyed Season 1. Season 2 was okay. I don't mind the politicking. I don't mind the slow burn. I actually do like that stuff. But I'm just curious, how pissed would that be if they didn't have a third season, if this is how they end it? Like, this is it, guys. Like, use your imagination. What do you think could happen? But I'll give it up. Just to be bigger than John, I'll be 3.8. I'll give it a 3.8.
3.8. I'm at a 4 out of 5 on House of the Dragon Season 2 because I really did think it was pitching a perfect game for so long, like John mentioned in those early episodes. And then it started to trail off in feeling of weight and importance because there weren't big moves that were being made. I did feel like a member of Rhaenyra's small council where I'm waiting for something to happen. And I feel like as a viewer that it didn't necessarily reward with those big moments the way that you expect a series like this to. However, it can win everybody back really quickly there in Season 3. We all know it. We all know we'll be watching. We all know we're junkies for the big moves that are going to be made. We've put in the work, and now it's time for those payoffs, and hopefully we'll get them in Season 3. Brian, final word on House of the Dragon Season 2.
Yeah, you can't. I mean, in the Olympics, you can judge the whole routine and then take points off for the landing. The landing sucked. That's okay. It was still, there's the dragon in Dragonstone without its head and without an eye. So let's do the equivalent of that for the whole series. Let's do 3.87
Yep.
out of 5. Round it up. It's still 4 out of 5. It's still probably the best TV show going currently right now. Now, of course, off for 2 years. Still enjoyable, still fun to talk about, still fun to hypothetically plan out and fantasy book, if you will. So it's still that show. It's still good. 4 out of 5.
This show has not yet jumped the shark unless we look at Season 3 and go, okay, it never was able to regain that momentum that it had established there.
Now, do I have
in the high parts
optimism?
of Season 2.
Sure, I have optimism. It
Sure.
just
Am I optimistic?
Yeah.
It's an
Sure.
incomplete
Right
season.
now, it's very incomplete.
It's
I'm
an
hoping
incomplete
that
season.
this is a Dune 2 scenario where first Dune is just purely set up and it's such a drag to get through, or can be. But then Dune 2, all the pieces are set, everything's ready to go, and you're ready to just play the game.
Being ready to play the game, that is where we go to our title sponsor, MyBookie. You can be the master of coin. Build your bankroll there with MyBookie. It's a great time to jump into this right before the football season really kicks into gear, John.
Go to mybookie.ag. Use that promo code next round. You always see it in the corner there. You can play in the sportsbook, play in the casino, play in the live casino, but anything, anytime, anywhere at mybookie.ag.
That's going to do it for our House of the Dragon season review. All the different episodes reviewed. You can check them out right here on the Meltdown. Make sure you're subscribed, as we're all going to be awaiting eagerly Season 3 of House of the Dragon and those payoffs that have been promised. I'm Tim Melton for the entire crew. Thank you for being here all season long. Make sure you like this video and subscribe.